What's up, Internet? My name's Nerdy.
And I'm Clarus.
And this is a eulogy? Goodbye?
I guess.
A farewell? We don't usually cover the cancellation of a TV show.
No.
However.
But this one feels different. Because the Wheel of Time was such a huge part of our beginnings.
Yeah, it's how the channel kind of became the channel in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah.
Like when we started covering the Wheel of... The first trailer reaction that really popped off for us was the Wheel of Time Season 1 trailer reaction.
Yep. And as of 36 minutes ago, it has been canceled on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, and so here we are on our new book club set. Not the one from which we covered the Wheel of Time for 2 years.
No, we are several sets away from that.
Yeah. But we're here to have a final kind of thought about the cancellation, about the show, about the series, about what might come next. Obviously, IWAT is working on a video game, so who knows? Maybe that will pick up where this left off.
Yeah.
And so, Clark, I got to ask you, what was your initial feeling upon seeing the news?
I will be honest, I have seen this coming because if there was going to be a next season, they wouldn't have wasted any time in announcing.
I don't agree with that. I think that they've been deep in deliberations for weeks now.
But I just mean, like, if it wasn't an immediate yes, I figured it would be a no.
Oh, okay. So you're saying it wouldn't have been a hesitant yes?
No. It was either going to be it was going to be a strong yes or not at all. And so I've kind of been like, I've been anticipating this for a while, but it was disappointing because I really do think, as much as there are things that we don't love about the show, that this past season was really good. So much improved.
Yeah.
One of like the Ruidian episode is like such an incredible resume is maybe the wrong word of what they can do, like a
portfolio.
Like we can do this, we can make this happen, we can take this all the way.
I just want to say, like, Deadline is where we got the news, and Deadline is reporting, and usually they're pretty reliable to what is being told publicly, that the executives at Prime Video are very happy with the creative level of the show, that this was a purely financial decision. And sure, but I think that comes from season 3 being creatively, I think, a lot stronger. But ultimately just too little too late, right? I think that when you're talking about...
Too little, too late, too expensive.
Too little, too late, too expensive. I think that when you're talking about Ruidian in particular, right? Ruidian was heralded by even detractors of the show for its, maintaining the book's narrative, or hewing much more closely to the book's narrative than other elements of the show have.
Yes.
And when you talk about that being the portfolio, it unfortunately isn't the consistency of the show. That is the outlier.
Yeah. Was
that they did in that scene say, hey, like, this is really good. Let's do what the books do. And I think that season 3, to have those moments, and that's not the only moment in season 3. Obviously, I thought season 2 was a big improvement over season 1 with the Egwene and Rena scenes. Yeah. I thought that episodes 5 and 6 that really dealt with Egwene's situation were very good.
Yep.
But then, the end of season 2 with episode 7 with all the Swan Rand stuff.
They struggled with finales.
And like the Swan Rand stuff in hindsight. Also, we're going to spoil the whole show in this talk. So
that is fair. We're
going to talk about the show.
Full Wheel of Time spoilers. Maybe some book spoilers. We'll try and not do that or give you warning if that comes up.
We're also not just going to sit here and shit on the show the whole time. I have a lot of compliments. I want to say every thing I liked about the show by the end of this video. So we're going to say a lot of nice things in this. And
yeah, because it is. I mean, I am at least disappointed.
I'm as well.
I'm not surprised. I am disappointed.
I am also the person on video who said, and you can check the book club tape or the I think it was the live spoiler chat.
Yeah.
I would not have renewed the show.
Yeah.
At this point. So, and again, I was also saying that for financial reasons. Yep. I think the show is going to get more expensive, and I don't think the foundation is the best.
Yeah.
The problem with this show is that they ended every season poorly. The final episode of every season 3, it's not the worst episode of the season, but it's not the strongest.
Yeah.
There's a real strength in ending on the highest note.
Yeah.
And it is frustrating that a series that has such great finales to the books consistently left the meat and like the best parts of it in the middle.
Yeah.
So that you started every season kind of being like, what are we doing?
Okay.
And then you're like, oh, okay, this is turning in middle of the season every year.
All right, we're going. Okay.
There's some really cool stuff in here. This is interesting.
Yeah.
And then ending the seasons on like,
oh
yeah.
Yeah.
That didn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
You know, the end of season 1 obviously was hampered by COVID.
There are things that we can forgive.
Barney's
there.
leaving.
Yeah.
The end of season 2 was hampered by their decision to have Rand meet Swan and do that whole rigmarole. I really think that spending a whole episode on the episode 7 of season 2, spending that whole episode on the Swan Rand discussion / Moraine's family drama was such a poor decision.
Yes, but I also do think that like that fight is just nonsensical.
What fight?
The finale fight in season 2. Like,
I just think if you'd stretched it to 2 episodes and you had built up to that,
you could have fleshed it out. It would have made more sense.
Yeah. I think that you could have done it in a much more interesting way.
Yeah.
But instead, you spend the penultimate episode on this conversation that, with the way that they end season 3, doesn't matter because those characters never see each other again.
Endings are so important.
Yeah.
So important. And like, I know personally, like I have been influenced into liking or dislike something based on how it ends, how I feel after it's over.
Yeah.
Especially before I really like bothered with these deep dive critiques that we now do where we talk about every element of it. I was definitely one of those people that's like, if a pilot didn't get me, I was out.
Yeah.
But if a finale disappointed me, I also I would be prone to forget the things along the way that I did love.
Which we don't want to do. I do want to talk about. I want to comment a lot of stuff today.
One of the reasons I am so grateful for doing these reactions, for doing book club, for changing my perspective on media through this podcast we've done together, is I feel like I have gotten better at appreciating the good, and also like deep diving into the things that I didn't like, and not for reasons of I didn't like it, but like why. Like there's so much more depth there, and I don't forget about the things that I did like if there are things that I dislike. And, you know, I don't overlook things that I don't like just because this moment was really cool, right?
Well, and one of the things I find so fascinating about the reaction to our reactions is a lot of people call us nitpicky when we don't like things, and then get upset at us when we like episodes of a show that we have previously not liked.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of people who are like, I don't understand how you can love episode 3 of season 3 so much when you didn't like episode 1. And I'm like, well, because episode 3 is a really good episode 3, 4, and like 5 of season 3 are the best of the season.
Yeah.
They're really good.
Yeah.
Right? They're all very, very good. Episode 7 had some really good stuff. Like there's great stuff in season 3.
Yes.
And it's so fascinating to me that people are like, well, you're nitpicking when you don't like it, but when you do like it, you're forcing it. People create narratives around our watching of things that I think are sometimes fair, right?
Yeah.
I think sometimes people are like, you're too hung up on this element of it and it's causing you to not like it, but that's also our natural reaction.
It is. We're only human. Like we're not going to be like completely cold and calculated. Like we fall prone to being human.
So one of the compliments I want to levy at this show first before we get into it all is I don't know that we'll ever get another adaptation of The Wheel of Time. Like I genuinely don't.
Yeah.
If we do, I don't think it will be better cast. I think that across the board, the casting of The Wheel of Time was pretty exemplary.
Yes.
Including some people who I didn't think were amazing in season 1, but I think really grew into their parts. The Emmons Field 5 to me, so they were young actors in season 1.
Yep.
And I think that you can see in the second half of season 2 and really in season 3, they've all really grown into actors. So I think they're going to be I'm not worried about a lot of these actors. I think they're going to be very successful. I think they've shown they're very talented and they've got a resume of work now that I think will impress people.
Yeah.
But the casting across the board, I think, is very strong. I do have some logic issues with kind of the every color of skin comes from every country idea that they went with.
Yeah.
I do think that as the show went on, that got weaker because it got harder to tell what anything was.
Especially when some of the like storylines were disguising yourself, like trying to not stand out in certain environments,
which just doesn't matter when like you can't tell where anybody's from except by clothing.
Yeah.
And then you can just wear the clothes. You know, and that wasn't the strength of it, but the actors that they got for those roles individually, I think across the entire show, including a lot of really small parts, were really excellent.
Yeah.
I think the cast of Tom Maryland was really wonderful. He wasn't in the show enough for me, but like really wonderful. Lanfear. I should have worn that shirt instead of my Matcham Cawthon.
Yeah.
No Bloody Hero hoodie, but
Team Lanfear t-shirt.
I think that really like that it is a testament to the casting department how I don't think they would have gotten this far without the cast that they had. And they got Shora to come in as Aleda, and now that we're not getting more show, obviously we wanted her to be Cat Swain, but now that we're not getting more of the show, I'm glad we got what we did of her in this universe because I think she really was great in the Wheel of Time.
Yeah.
You know, I obviously want more of her always because she's the best, but
yeah.
From a casting standpoint, I just think that there might be another cast of the Wheel of Time, but I would be hard pressed to see them doing a better job of bringing the people to screen.
I think that's absolutely fair. Like there has been so much in the show that I have loved because of the people that brought it to life in their performances. And you know, you can argue through the like day and night as to whether or not Rosamund Pike should have been there because they made her the main character and blah, blah, blah. Like whether or not that helped or hindered the show. Everyone's going to have a different opinion on that. But her performance.
Oh, yeah.
Is it like there is no arguing that her performance as Moraine is incredible.
Yes.
Like
I completely agree. And the hat in season 3.
The hat.
Her gardening outfit that she wore through the desert in season 3.
Daniel Henney, like God damn.
Well, I truly like I had never known who he was before this, and I fell in love with him in season 1.
Yeah.
Like I was so enamored with his stoicism and his intensity on screen.
Yeah.
Like it's funny now because I just love him now, but at the time, like I fell for him so fast.
Yeah.
As like a talent crush on him, going back to those season 1 reactions. It's so funny. Someone went back and they were like, "You're really positive back then," and I was like, it was kind of the first show we reacted to. And I didn't know. It's so weird looking back on those, on what we say now, because I look back on it and I'm like, I don't even know. I don't know what I was thinking. Because when we did the rewatch, we were much more negative kind of immediately.
Well, because we had read the books.
But also like we'd spent time in between talking critically about things. And before that, we'd never really been that critical. We weren't really critics.
Yeah.
And we had sort of found our way into being critics. And I realized like it has really changed my view of art, talking about it so critically all the time, in that the lows are more consistent, but the highs are so much higher now because I understand why I like things.
Yeah.
And it's so funny. I think that people sometimes will be like, well, since you've become more of a critical thinker, you dislike things more often, and so you've actually hindered your experience. And my pushback on that is when I like something now, I know why, and it hits so much deeper.
Yeah.
Like I don't know that I would have appreciated Andor with the depth and complexity that I did, with the love that I did, if it weren't for the years of the way that we've watched television together.
Yeah.
And so I'm grateful for that. I'm actually grateful that I look back on things with a much more critical eye. And I'm grateful that I'm more comfortable sharing my opinions. I know people hate it because, you know, they want me to just be nice to everything. Just turn my brain off and enjoy things, which is a comment we got all the time.
Yeah.
And that's not how I enjoy life. I like being mental first and then heart. Because I think that what seeps through to the heart is just more interesting. But going back to season 1, great casting.
Yeah.
We liked the cast. You know, I don't think there's ever been a point where we were negative about that. But we also really liked a lot of the creature designs for season 1.
Yep.
Do you think that the show, Do you think that there should have been more of that in the show? One thing I think about season 2 and 3 is how much they cut all of the like Trolloc and Fade stuff down to like an episode a season.
I don't think there was a Fade in season 3.
No. But
Yeah.
also, where would you put them? Like, there's not really
No.
fades.
And I'm not saying that like there should have been, but it's definitely something I noticed.
All the Trolloc stuff happens like off page or off screen in season 3 too, except for the Battle of Emond's Field.
Yeah. I think that like I was so blown away in season 1 with all the like practical effects and like, you know, how they were able to bring those like terrifying creatures to life, that I think that I did miss it later on. But like you said, it wasn't, I don't know how they would have had more of that in the story.
Well, it became noticeable. I was thinking back on it and I was like, it's so interesting, you know, going back to the press tour for season 1, right? Which we were really into because that trailer action had done so well that we were like, oh, I guess we'll become Wheel of Time fans because it was the first trailer that really like made money on our channel.
Yeah, and people are like, wait, you haven't read these? Like,
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We had no knowledge. I knew nothing about it.
No. What a time.
Rafe kept saying like the show is 2 people in a room. Our show is 2 people in a room. And I remember at the time being like, that sounds not great. Like I was like, even if it's true, stop saying that on the press tour. I was like, this is bad marketing.
Yeah.
And
I do think that the marketing for this show failed it.
The season 3 marketing was good.
Yeah.
It just was too late.
That's too late. The Origins, where did that go?
Can you imagine if they put that out this August? They canceled the main show, but they finally put out those Origin episodes that the interns spilled coffee on or whatever the fuck they said.
I really do think, especially season 1 and 2, that the marketing failed this show, and that is very disappointing.
I think there's something so fascinating in the way I think Rafe viewed the show and in all of the ways that I think they could have sold it. And one of them that I've been thinking about a lot is like, if they had just leaned into some of the creatures and made that element a part of the marketing. One thing I really love is marketing that kind of revolves around the practical puppetry or the effects or something like that. And particularly on the Trollocs, like I'm surprised they didn't include them more in season 2 in a way that would give them sort of that, look what we did. Look, here's a featurette before the season comes out. We built this in real life. I remember when The Force Awakens was coming out and there was so much about how they were going back to practical effects and the excitement around that and sort of the audience build up. And
people really do love that. Even
in season 2 and 3, when I look back on the marketing now, as I'm trying to, thinking about like, why didn't they pick up steam as the show kept getting better? And one of the things, even in the season 3 marketing, is that I like the season 3 marketing, but the poster is Rand and Moraine. And like, if you're not already watching the show for Rosamund Pike, I don't think the fact that Josha
marketing her
was in that fucking Gran Turismo movie as the villain is going to bring in a Wheel of Time audience. Right.
Yeah.
Like, I just think that the marketing being like, we got Rosamund Pike. And it's like,
yes, we know. Yes, we know.
We know.
No, that's what I mean. Like, even though season 3, I at least saw marketing for things.
The posters were great.
Yeah.
Really like the posters.
Yeah. It was more, I thought that they failed the show in how they marketed it.
Yeah.
There are definitely audiences out there that I think would have really loved the show that barely even knew that it existed. The number of tweets that would come across my feed of like, wait, what is the Wheel of Time? Is this show good? Like of people being like, I'm only kind of just hearing about this. And who knows what kind of a first impression they've got, because I don't know where they've heard this from. I do think that marketing really could have done a lot better, and I do think as well that like I know that they like flew to a bunch of cool places to film a bunch of cool stuff, but that's so expensive.
Well, and that gets into that featurette about them building the Waygate in the place that no one had ever filmed before. And I was like, I get that, but the scene isn't that important. And you spent so much money on that.
Yeah.
But the fight scene is underfunded. the fight scene that's like the climax of the season is underfunded so that we could walk out of a way gate onto a beach.
Right.
It's like, I get it. I do get it, but like...
There are times that I worried they treated it more like a fucking like Discovery Channel, look at these pretty places, than actually focusing on the substance of stuff. And again, in season 3, there was so much that they really got into and things that I loved, and the trajectory for the show was really exciting. If they'd canceled after season 2, I would have been like, yeah, okay, whatever. I really did not love how season 2 ended for so many reasons. But I would have been like, meh, whatever. But then having the tease of season 3 of being like, oh, okay, we're figuring it out. We're finding it. I like this. I like this. I like where we're going. I like how it's growing. And then having it canceled, it hurts even more.
Well,
like,
it's tough. Season 2, season 1 brought in, I think, one of the better villains of the show in Ishamael. And a really talented actor. And just because he's not in season 3, and we're going to talk about season 3 probably mostly.
Sure.
I just wanted to call out, like, he really brought it through so much of season 1 and then took it to another level in season 2. I think that when I look back on the show, I find myself thinking about his performance a lot, weirdly. And the very, very calm villainy that he presented.
Yeah.
When Lanfear shows up in season 2 and then, much more in season 3, she is much more campy. She's very large. She's very emotional.
Yeah. And
it stands in great contrast to Ishamael.
Yeah. They're great together.
The thing that I think that I maybe not took for granted, but didn't appreciate as much as I think I should have while watching it, was the way in which he played the inevitability of his villainy. Right? There was just an element of his...
You know what he was able to play the none of it matters.
Yeah.
Why are we doing this? Why break the wheel? Like that's the one thing that makes his character interesting in the books, in my opinion. Like,
in the later half, I disagree with you a little bit there, because I do think they telegraphed it too soon.
In the
Let's not do books
or the show, they telegraphed it.
I think that they did too much end of series book stuff in Ishamael in the show in season 1 and 2.
Really, because I actually feel like what you're saying about how he portrayed the character wasn't overt, but if you had read the books, you could read into it, right?
I agree with that. I do agree with that. I just think they got to the melancholy too soon, which didn't leave them a lot of runway. Yeah. To get to the melancholy again. Like, one of the problems I think the show has is they really wanted to be inspired by the whole series from the beginning. Right. And I think that they kind of skipped over a couple steps in the 3 seasons that we have of getting to where some of these characters get to.
Yeah. That being said, though, I do think that the show made the villains far more interesting to me than the books ever did. I think that the villains are the weakest part of the book series. Yeah, of course. Without getting into spoilers. And so I think the fact that the show did make Lanfear my favorite at one point and really like had that...
And still my favorite.
Yeah. And had that depth to Ishamael and Mogideon. Like there's
Mogideon is Show Mogideon is straight up better.
So much better. So much better. And so the show really, I think, that is the one major thing they definitely improved upon from the books, and like all the fucking kudos for that.
Yeah, Lanfear obviously incredible. The only show villain that I think is weaker than the books is the White Cloaks. Just because the White Cloaks in the show struggled, not from casting. I think the casting of Eamon Valda. Oh. Yeah. For their version of Eamon Valda was excellent. Dane Bornhold. Both Bornholds.
Yeah, both of them were great.
Jeff from in season 1 and 2, and then Dane, the guy they got for Dane in season 3, who we thought that he was going to be, when he was first cast, we were like, oh my God, that's fucking Elaine's brother.
Galad.
Galad. Yeah. Because Dane is hot.
Yeah.
The actor who plays Dane is hot.
Yeah.
He's great in that part. But one of the reasons why I think the White Cloaks really suffered in the show is because they didn't fully commit to the magic system. And so the White Cloaks in the show, being the anti-magic people, became... because the magic system was as inconsistently told, it was harder for them to really frame the White Cloaks as the anti-magic people. It just kind of became Eamon Valda is a woman, a misogynist lunatic.
Bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that kind of became the definer of the White Cloaks
Mm-hmm.
because we didn't see a lot of why there would be White Cloaks in this world, because the rules around the Aes Sedai aren't as, like, Robert Jordan does such a good job of explaining why the rules seem flimsy from the outside and why people wouldn't trust them.
Yeah.
And we see that through Rand's eyes. I think that when they repositioned the show to be from Moraine's eyes, and
you lose some of that.
Because the entirety of Eye of the World, you're reading it going, Moraine's a little sketchy.
Yeah.
And the show lost Rand looking at Moraine a little sketchy in order for Moraine to be like, which one of them is the dragon?
Well, and it also, I think, struggled then, like, doubly on top of that of, like Rand thinking that Moraine is sketchy isn't always totally justified, because he's doing that in the books, being like, but in the show, you know exactly what's going on in Moraine's
you get her attention
head.
so fast.
Yeah, that then the kid's not trusting her, or Rand not trusting her is kind of, it just feels a little cringy, I think, at times.
And so it just made it I think it detracted from the White Cloaks in a way that was unfortunate. You know what I mean? I think that if you had spent season 1 with Moraine playing more of a, like, looming threat kind of mentor, then Jephram, when you meet him, you're like, oh, is he going to save them from this witch? You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, there's that element of like, oh, is this real? Like, you know, and I think the show sort of neutered the White Cloaks a little bit from the conception.
Yeah.
Because
of that.
Yeah. It's just an interesting problem that I don't know that they, in the 3 seasons that we got, ever really got around.
Mm-hmm.
The White Cloaks just always seemed partially because of Eamon Valda, like they were, like, there was no rationale. They're just the bad guys.
Yeah. Like, what reason do all of these people have to hate Aes Sedai?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't ever really feel like it was fleshed out in the show in a way that made sense. Like, I get it. Like, people just fear things that they don't understand, or other people being in charge. And I just think, I agree. I think that in the books, that particular, like, villain, if the White Cloaks are a villain as a whole, is definitely handled better.
Yeah. So we spent a lot of time with the Emmonsfield 5 across 3 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
I want to, like, what do you think is your, like, highlight moment for each of them? In hindsight, now that we have all 3 seasons.
Fun. I think Perrin's is pretty obvious.
Is it? I think that's an interesting question.
Really? Because I think Perrin suffered a little bit throughout season 1 and 2 of, like, season 1, he was just less important and was kind of weirdly in a love triangle, question mark. So
okay, we could go worse moments as well, but yeah.
No.
The love triangle scene. Is one of the worst things they did.
We don't need to talk about that. But in terms of, like, best and top moments, I think, like, season 3, the Battle of Emmons Field has to be number 1, because I think the actor was finally given the chance to shine.
So I rewatched that episode.
Yeah.
It ends so poorly with with Penn Fane whistling and everyone just leaving awkwardly, that on the rewatch I was like, oh man, this, you know what, the locations of this battle don't really make sense, but, like, a lot of these scenes are very fun. The ending of it really ruined it for me.
And again, endings.
Every time I watch it through a couple of times, and the Trollocs awkwardly just kind of, like, walking away is just such a letdown. It's tough to make that my favorite moment of his, because there's so much in the first half of that episode that I do love.
Well, and that's the thing is, I'm saying that episode, the stuff that is about him and not about Fane, not about the Trollocs, not even about Emmons Field. Like, if you're asking Perrin moments, it's that, because the moments that are solely about him, I think those are his finest. Yeah,
it is tough for me. I think that weirdly, my favorite Perrin moment is after all of that.
Oh, okay.
Or it's the conversation with Dane The conversation with Dane before,
Okay.
and the conversation with Dane after.
Interesting.
Like the actual battle to me is hampered a little bit by some of the logistics and the end of it.
Yeah.
But the conversations where, because I think they rushed the Lord Perrin stuff a little bit.
Yeah.
Just because they didn't have room for it. And the only moments where he really felt like Lord Perrin to me are the 2 times he talks to Dane.
Fair. Yeah. That's fair.
At the staunches before the
Mhm.
fight, and then after when he walks away with them.
Yeah.
Those are the 2 moments where I really felt like as a character as an actor he found the like Lord Perrin persona.
Yeah.
And I thought he was great as Perrin across most of season 2 and 3.
Oh, he was. I just think unfortunately the writing underserved him
100%.
at a lot of times.
And the wolf, look, I'm not going to say there are like upsides to the show getting canceled, but the upside to the show getting canceled is never seen the way that they portrayed wolf visions ever
the
again.
wolf dream. Yeah.
No,
I
we
really
never got to the
didn't-
wolf dream.
No.
But the wolf vision CGI in season 2 was like hilariously
I
bad.
really did. I really did not like
and
that.
it did help that they cast like a medium-sized dog. They were like, this should be a wolf that's like up to Perrin's hip.
It's like a small husky.
It's like an underfed husky.
Yeah, I know. Like I'm like, oh, I've seen huskies that are bigger than that. And I've seen wolves. Like I've been to the wolf reserve in Colorado. Oh my God, they're huge.
Massive.
Yeah.
And so when they trotted that fucking puppy out and they were like, this is our wolf, I was like, oh God.
Yeah, there are definitely little things like that I like. If other stuff had been incredible, would never have bothered me. But
no matter how good the show was, the
wolf vision. Yeah. Here's the thing: the size of the dog, I'm like, okay, whatever. We can kind of laugh about it. But
the size of the dog's whatever. But the CGI,
that vision, rough. I think that Rand's is also very obvious.
Ooh, I want to know what your favorite moment from Rand is. Oh, see, I don't see that as Rand. I see that as his ancestors.
Like but he played all of. Oh, I see what you mean.
Josha as an actor, yes, incredible that whole episode. Yeah. Rand just walking into Ruidian isn't his most amazing moment to me in the show, but I do agree with you.
Okay.
For Josha to.
Okay, fair. Honorable mention for the actor then.
But for Josha's performance, I really do agree with you.
Yeah.
And if I was gonna give oh God, Perrin's actor, I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
Shit.
I'm just gonna pull it up.
Shit.
My favorite moment for him in season 3 is the sitting among the graves with Alana. I love that scene, and I think that he is electric in it, in his the emotional availability he brought to it.
Yeah, for
I thought it was fantastic.
Okay, so then what is Rand's best moment? You're looking at the name. Sorry.
Yeah, I just want to make sure. I just want to have everyone's name here.
Yeah. That's absolutely fair.
Oh my God, it's only cancellation notices.
Yeah, we're Googling it right now. Yeah.
Perrin is Marcus Rutherford.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, Marcus Rutherford. He weirdly is the only member of the cast who doesn't have his own Wikipedia page. Oh no, and until Maxim, which I don't want to talk about that.
We're not going to touch on
it. Yeah. No, I think that Rand's best moment in the show. That's really hard for me. As a character, like I think I want it to be holding the girl at the end of episode 6 of season 3. And I think that like that's another great acting performance moment.
But like what it means for the character.
Rand's, yeah, it's a weird.
Okay.
I struggle a little bit with it. I think that I really love the way Josha played the. As much as I like find the finale to be kind of a letdown on the season, I do think that the way he played the Bowl of the Winds announcement,
Golden Bowl, not Bowl of Winds.
Golden Bowl.
We didn't get there.
Yep. Announcement was great. I found that to be really riveting.
Yeah.
I honestly, I think that Josha's the actor who, for my taste, grew the most across the series.
Yes.
I think that he's not the worst of them in season 1. I'm not saying that. I think that he kind of came into season 1 and was a charming, attractive young man who played a charming, attractive, and sometimes troubled young man.
Yep.
Pretty admirably through season 1.
Yeah. And then he fucking, like, he went in hard.
Yeah, he found some depth between season 1 and 2. It's not that his performance in season 1 is bad. It's just sort of like season 1 of a young adult TV show, kind of like, oh, he's charming. Like, I like him. He's hot. He's
There's
everything
so
you
much
need.
potential here.
But and I think it might have been finishing the series or something, but he found layers in season 2 that pushed him to one of my favorite performances in the show. And then in season 3 continued those. And it's hard to pick favorites with him because I think he's consistently a very strong character and actor across the show.
Yeah, he's supposed to be the main character.
As much as he's underserved by the actions that are given to him by the writers and by a lot of the stuff they cut from the books that his character is supposed to do.
Yeah.
I do think that Joshua elevated. I think the writing for Rand was actually weaker than some other characters on the show, and I think that Joshua elevated it, and I think that he brought more than they gave him, and I'm really grateful for that because I loved.
Yeah.
Like, Rand is such a fascinating character, and it would be sad to see another actor finish this show just because, like, I think that he crushed it.
Yeah. I think for Nynaeve, her best moment was the Arches. Her
In season 2,
Aes Sedai trial.
Yeah.
I think that is character-wise and performance-wise. There was so much there that was just beautifully portrayed and harrowing and deep, and like I think that is still one of my favorite moments of season 2 as well.
Yeah, agreed.
Absolutely fucking crushed it. That's my submission for Nynaeve.
Well, and I think that her performance, that's I just want to make sure I'm getting people's. Now I'm nervous about people's names. Zoe Robbins, or new Zoe. I was like, I think that she really sold me on why the Arches changed these women.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I came out of that scene with her understanding why the Aes Sedai are different people after they become accepted. And that was purely on her performance, right? And obviously the events in there were harrowing, but Zoe Robbins needed to, in very few scenes after that, show us the impact, because you could easily say, like, well, she goes through that and then it was never real, so whatever.
Mm-hmm.
She goes through that, and then Zoe Robbins came out and showed us the impact of that on Nynaeve so beautifully.
Yeah.
And look, as far as Nynaeve, like, I think it's a shame that we finally got back to a place where I thought Nynaeve was going to be interesting moving forward. Because I really did not like her in the rest of season 2. And this isn't a performance thing. It was purely the writing for her made her just sort of present.
Yeah, she was present, and at most she was like kind of frustrating because she couldn't do much because she had the block that they had to get over, and I think they maybe spent too much time trying to overcome that obstacle for her character.
Well, and stripping away that she can still channel when she's very emotional.
Yeah.
And just making it so she just does nothing.
Channels.
Kind of ruined the end of Tenchiko for me.
Yeah.
Because she just gets blasted into the water while she's standing out in the open holding the most important device. Like,
the reference to it is beautiful. How the logistics of it all played out is a little bit silly.
She should have been caught off guard, or there's just so many ways that could have done.
Yeah.
But no, I agree with you about Nynaeve. I was going to say the accepted trial as well. For Moraine,
she's not an Emmons Field 5.
Not Moraine. Egwene.
They rhyme.
There we go. You know how my dyslexia works. For Egwene, what do you think of what do you think is her best moment? And tragically, why is it
her being collared?
Collared shit.
I know. Which is
Madeline's performance of those scenes, while harrowing, deserved more like credit. She should have at least won a Saturn Award. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe not an Emmy, but like a Saturn Award.
Yeah, I agree that that is the first thing that comes to mind for her character and for the actress. Those scenes were hard to watch in a way that I think was really honest and brutal and true to the books. Like, really like showed how awful this is. And of course was supported by the actor that plays Rena. They like them together was so hard to watch and so well done. I was like, Jesus. It was a lot, but it was definitely those moments. It's hard to pick a specific one, but those a couple episodes where she's collared as a dummy and has to deal with that. And then, I was hoping we would see more of what that means for her character moving forward, but unfortunately in season 3, she kind of just became the girlfriend.
Well, not just the girlfriend, but like the girlfriend who's actively getting cheated on. I will say this, as much as I applaud season 3 for like improving upon season 2, The biggest failing of season 3 in hindsight to me is the way Egwene became the cheated on girlfriend.
Yeah.
Like I genuinely think it is such a bizarre choice to make after what she accomplished in season 2 and who she became.
Yeah,
and
they
then
really
she just kind of
regressed
is
her
like,
character.
I learned how to dream walk and Rand cheat, and I dreamed walk into Rand's, and it almost felt like she learned how to dream walk so that she could walk into Rand's dream and see him cheating on her. Because that's functionally what she does in season 3, right? And it's just it's really disappointing the way in which they handled her, in my opinion.
Yep.
Particularly because I also didn't love her performance in season 3, and I don't really blame Madeline for that. Like I don't think it was an actor's problem. I think that she was given the worst of the writing in season 3, and
we saw what she was capable of,
Yeah.
and then they threw her into the awkward
and
scene
then they asked her for nothing. Yeah.
with
or asked nothing of her.
when Rand is having this like heartfelt, heartbreaking moment where he's tending
Picking
that
the
girl's
squashes?
garden,
Yeah.
and Egwene's like, I want to see you. And you're like, what the fuck is this?
But I get why she struggled.
Because the writing and direction of that scene is so awkward.
Well, and
it was not good on any level.
Yeah.
Both of them tried. They tried to figure out what the fuck that was supposed to be.
I think anyone else should have gone to him in that scene, because Egwene, to me, and this a lot is from Madeline's performance.
Mm-hmm.
Egwene was such a human character, and I think that what the struggle was, if I had to like psychoanalyze her performance in the scene, it was that she crafted this character and embodied this character that brought so much humanity to her relationships to other characters.
Mm-hmm.
And then they gave her this scene where she needed to be upset about the Lanfear thing and ignore that Rand was, that this child died.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it was just so incongruous to the buildup of the character that she had in her mind.
Yeah.
Because that happens, right? You're playing a character and you have that one scene that you're like,
how the fuck do I make that
this
work?
isn't this person at all.
Yeah.
And then it just comes out, it just feels wrong in your body.
Yeah.
And it's why I don't blame the actor at all. I just think that it was the wrong choice for her to not have empathy there.
Yeah.
I think that if your boyfriend cheats on you, you can still have empathy for a child dying in his arms. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I just think there's room in that, and the scene didn't make room for that. And so she was like, I don't know, man. Just the council wants you. Let's get out of this day as fast as possible.
Yeah.
And I give her. I send my sympathy to her for having to pull through that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't wait to see her in her next project. I want so much for her, because season 2 showed how incredible she is as a performer and like the depths of her soul that she can bear on screen. And yeah, I just with what the dream world is in the books, there was so much room for the if they cut all of the Rand her relationship shit and make this whole arc for her in season 3 about female companionship in the dream world and what it means to have a female mentor for this girl who has expectations but not the same expectations of her country. And like I think there's something they could have played with there that would have been beautiful, and they just kind of turned it into like
weird, cringy.
You don't sleep
drama
in my bed anymore. Yeah, well, you're fucking a demon in your dreams that like maybe is your fault, but maybe not. And like, yeah, just problematic.
Yeah, yeah.
Matrim Coffin.
Last on our list, Matrim Coffin. Such a interesting character.
Mm-hmm.
Just again. Unfortunately, I do feel like Matt's character suffered because of the writing getting him back into the show in season 2. The writing of him
could have just done it. Like
they could have just they could have just had him there. But I did not love the whole in prison thing. But in
hindsight, Loyal coming back from being stabbed with the dagger and Matt just being with them again are equally bad. They should have just done it. You know what I mean? They should have just hard committed to, they found Matt in Tarvalon and he's really pissed that he missed the Eye of the World.
Yeah.
And like, because they spent a whole season working to get him back.
Yeah.
And then in season 3, Barney Harris showed he's a great Matt Coffin.
Oh my God. I am another thing that I'm incredibly disappointed that we don't get to see more of him as Matt. Because I think, again, casting wise, perfect, crushed it.
Mm-hmm.
I think
honestly,
my high is the fight scene.
I don't want to shit on Barney Harris. I want to acknowledge Barney Harris was also good casting.
Yep.
I liked him as Matt in season 1.
Yeah.
If he'd
He
continued
didn't
with
get
the show,
much.
yeah,
right?
but he was good.
But he was good.
He was a good actor.
Mhm.
And so like as much as Donald Finn did a great job taking over,
Yeah.
I like as far as casting goes, they crushed it twice in my opinion.
Yeah, which is hard to do. But yeah, I think my best moment for Matt is going to be the fight with
Glad and Gowan
and Glad, and the moments before and after. Because I don't think he got a ton of moments to shine in ways that I would have liked to have seen.
Mm-hmm.
But that one was fun. And I very much enjoyed it.
I also really liked Matt and Rand's goodbye in season 3, episode 2, when they decide to go their second ways. I thought, and then the camera pans over to Perrin. I can like watch the scene in my head. I think that there's I really liked Donald Finn's performance in that scene in terms of getting to watch him come up with the decision to leave.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like I think that you can. It's just one of those moments where you can watch an actor like find the choice.
Yeah.
In the scene. Really, really, really love that. Really love that for him.
Mm-hmm.
Matt truly was the character who like started strong, honestly, but like dipped, and then season 3 I thought really benefited him. I thought we got a lot of good Donald Finn stuff. We got the Eilfin scene. I can't remember which. That was just from Jellicle Cats and was hilarious, but also really well done. Like on a second watch, when I wasn't as like, oh my god, is Taylor Swift about to sing fucking McCavity, the mystery cat? I did appreciate it, and finding out later that was practical, it is so impressive.
Yeah.
I just wish it was a bit more Fox-like.
Yeah. Look, I can understand why our reaction might have upset people, but it was a genuine reaction, and I cannot change that, and I'm not going to try and pretend that it was not my first reaction.
Yes.
However, that being said, we did talk about not really having as much of the Trollocs or the Fades or anything like that. I am glad season 3 had a cool creature fantasy, like truly fantastical thing that they created for the show. They interpreted for the show that they were able to pull off. Because I do think like it does like technically like look great. I am baffled by some of the design choices, but that does not take away from the skill that was clearly utilized to create that thing.
Well, and I think ultimately that's what's so interesting about the Wheel of Time TV show, right? Is the skill level was so high. The decision making, I think, was not great, but the skill level was.
Yeah.
And it ultimately is a really fascinating story to me, not of the quality of like the theatrical artists involved, but how a group of artists can come together and perfectly execute a bad vision and end up with a, unfortunately, major financial loss, right? And it is sad to me. It's one of those things where like I obviously we're going to get some form of adaptation in the next few years that's made entirely in AI, because somebody will do it and it'll be garbage. But I
will judge you for it.
Well, we won't even know who did it, right? It's going to be some anonymous user who's like, I plugged this many credits into VO5 because Google, and so we will get some form of adaptation that way that you and I will never watch. But in terms of like getting an adaptation of the Wheel of Time again,
we'll get the Wheel of Time fan edit.
Well, yeah, but it won't go past this, right?
I know.
And it's a shame. I think one of the things, if I could name like things I'm saddest I won't get to see, it's Donald Finn build the Band of the Red Hand.
Yeah.
I think watching him bring a group of men together, I think he's a great performer. I think he's a very inspirational person.
Yeah.
And I think that the Band of the Red Hand under him would have been some of the best of this show. I really do.
I also think, and it's unfortunate we'll never get to see this, I think that Donald could have done such a good job of the fatherly aspect
with Oliver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
for sure.
Like would have just knocked that out of the park. And so, yeah, it is disappointing that we're not going to get to see that in this turning of the wheel.
There's a bunch of moments for each of these characters. If you're like, that was a weird cut, I just said like a full-on book spoiler for the end of the books. And we're going to cut that because this video has no book spoilers.
And yeah, unless I said over, that you have no context for that. If you never,
go read the books. Very good. There is elements of all of these characters that I wish we could have seen these actors portray. And it's I thought we were going to talk for like 20 minutes. This has been a 50-minute video. I knew it. But this series means a lot to me. It means a lot to you, I know. It means a lot to our channel. It means a lot to our community.
Yeah. And
it's so hard to just imagine it's just done now.
Yeah.
It's just it's such a weird feeling that even as I said that I wouldn't renew it for financial reasons of, if you're wondering what I mean by that, the series from here on for the next chunk of the books drastically, I'm trying to say this without spoiling, drastically increases the number of people involved in every plot line. I think that's fair to say. And the number of countries that it takes place in simultaneously.
Yeah.
And you're either just trimming it down to truly bare bones, or the budget was going to have to go up from where it currently was.
Yeah.
And I think that if you're at that table and you're having those discussions of like, well, we need you to cut significantly more or cancel the show, I think there might have just been a point where they're like, look, we can't, we're just going to get hammered.
Yeah.
Like there's no version of the budget that you're talking about where we can produce a show where we don't get fucking killed online every week. And that just gets the show canceled at the end. Like maybe you produce a lower budget season 4 and you just get crushed for it constantly. And then it's like, why did we do it?
Yep.
Why did we take on, let's leave the show on like, you know what? It would have been great if we got a season 4, but at least season 3 was the best season. At least it seemed like they were finding their footing.
Yeah.
Like it's almost better for the creatives to not get killed for it just kind of the money running out.
Yeah.
Right. There is an element of that. And I do think in some ways this is better for some of the people working on the show. Weirdly, Rafe is one of them because I think that this season is the most positive the community's been about his work. There was a point either before season 2 or just after season 2 came out where he was supposed to do God of War, for the TV show.
Oh.
And I was like, please God, no.
Yeah, right.
I was like, this man does not care about action scenes. If he's gonna show run, and I'm not saying that he shouldn't work, and I'm not saying that I don't want him on any property that I enjoy.
Yeah.
I'm saying that like if he's going to be on a show, I don't think he should do action shows. He doesn't seem to have that much care for them. And that's just my opinion based on the way they're cut and edited and the way it seems like they have much better footage that's based on some of the stuff we saw from the season 3, episode 1, White Tower stuff. It does seem like they shot some really cool stuff that they ended up not using.
Yeah.
And I think that he should go, if he wants to do 2 people in a room shows, I think a lot of the 2 people in a room dialogue is the best of his stuff on Wheel of Time, and he should go work on them. I just don't think he should do these big IPs if he wants to take council rooms full of people and turn them into 2 people in a room talking. And that's just my feeling about it.
Yeah.
He seems to have a style that he likes, and those scenes are the best scenes.
Yeah.
And like I would love to see him go work on like a HBO kind of what was the show with oh my god, what was the not Pretty Little Liars, Big Little Lies. Like I could see him working, I think it's called Big Little Lies, or like the Ozarks or something like a show like that. I feel like he would really thrive on building those relationship drama kind of shows that are high budget, high concept, very like tense and filled with a lot of what I think he really succeeded at in the Wheel of Time, but don't get into the love of the fantasy and the creatures and stuff that I just don't think that he has. He never came across like he cared all that much about the Trollocs. And if I want the person who makes the Wheel of Time to be deeply invested in what each Trolloc looks like. You know what I mean? I want like a Guillermo del Toro level. Every time you watch him talk about the fantasy elements of his movies, you're like, fuck, man. He got so excited about every single prosthetic. Yeah. And that's what I think that this series needed. And I think that for the character stuff, Rafe brought that. He brought that element of it. And he was just kind of missing the love of the fantasy elements of the show that I think would have found a wider audience than the show was able to faster.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been such a slow burn.
Yeah.
But that's just my opinion. I think that, you know, everyone's gonna have an opinion about the show. I think there's gonna be unfortunately a lot of awful people who are gloating today. And
Yeah.
I know that I've said a lot of negative things about the show, and I know that I said that I wouldn't bring it back for financial reasons but I'm not gloating. I'm not happy. Like I'm not like sitting here like fucking what I'm sad.
Called it. Yeah.
I don't like when people don't work. I don't like when financial reasons are the reason we don't get more.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like those things, even though I know they're practical realities. And for everyone who worked on the show, like I think that they should all hold their heads very high, and I think that they should all get hired for other jobs. I think there is so much talent behind this show that just unfortunately didn't like coalesce into the show it needed to be.
Yeah.
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 Do you have any final thoughts? This was a longer video than I thought.
It is not longer than I thought. You were like 20 minutes, and I'm like, okay, so double that and maybe add a buffer of like 15 minutes.
Sorry, I have a lot of thoughts. It's been
I know
4 years of this.
I don't say that as a criticism. I just know you. But no, I think my general thoughts are just that this is definitely disappointing, and I know that there are a lot of people in our community that dearly love the show, and I'm so sorry that you're not getting more. It sucks. I did not want it to get canceled. I felt it was coming, and I was like, it's gonna be a bad day. And I also like it when creatives are getting work. I like to see the industry that we love thriving.
Yeah.
It is hard to watch it dwindle. And so for a lot of reasons, this is definitely a dampener on the day.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of good things, a lot of great scenes that we talked about.
A lot of great music. We didn't talk about the music, but
Great
the music across the show is pretty solid.
The prosthetics, incredible performances, like so much good can be found in this show. And I'm glad that we covered it honestly, good and bad.
Yeah, no, me too. I think that in some ways, we didn't contribute to it growing, that's for sure. But I do feel like ultimately I stand by everything I've said about the show, and but I stand by the moments I loved it. I think there was a lot to love, and I'm grateful for a show that was willing to lean into more gay elements of fantasy.
Yeah.
The LGBT kind of presence on the show, I think, was encouraging, and I love to see that. And I would hope to see more gay fantasy in the future. I don't know how much fantasy we're going to get in the future. I think that fantasy on TV might be a little bit dead for a minute, with Rings of Power being they can't
polarizing.
Cancel it. No, the polarizing doesn't matter. It's the constant news stories about what a disaster it is, right? Like, even if you love the Rings of Power, the news cycle about the declining viewership is bad for fantasy.
Yes.
And Wheel of Time getting canceled at the peak of people liking it is bad for fantasy.
Does not look good. There wasn't there a Game of Thrones show that it got canceled, didn't happen.
No, one just got pushed back to next year.
One got pushed back. Okay.
Yeah. So both Rings of Power, or both House of Dragon season 3 and Duncan Egg are both in 2026 now.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been nice to at least have something in that world every year, but
well, we'll get Rings of Power.
No, in the Game of Thrones world.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, who knows? Who knows why that was? But yeah, just really, really fascinating and sad day for Wheel of Time fans. And I know that there are a lot of people who love the show a lot more than us, and my heart breaks for them. I think that the torch people carried for the show burned really brightly, and the show meant a lot more to other people than it even did to us.
Yeah.
Although I don't know how many other people can say this show might be responsible for the financial success of their company. And so for that alone, I'm very grateful for it.
This show and the community behind the Wheel of Time.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
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 It is not lost on me that despite my complaints, we've been full-time YouTubers for over 3 years because of the growth that we saw because of the show. Right? You know what I mean? Like that is just an undeniable fact.
Yeah.
It was the thing that made people find us.
Yeah.
And we're incredibly lucky for that. I think we've run with that and we've been consistent and we've done our side of that.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the launching point, and we both acknowledged like that trailer, that first Wheel of Time trailer action was the launching point, where we went from like kind of doing this and like hoping it would work to it works. And
yeah,
for that alone, I'm just sad.
Yeah.
I'm sad because I would have loved to have seen the show go to the end just to be thankful for it, for what it's brought us and our life and what it's made possible on this channel. And
yeah,
just just very, very mixed feelings today.
Yeah, it's a sad day.
But there will be more. There will be more.
Yeah, we're gonna make our Shadows for Silence in the Forest of Hell movie.
I want to so bad. I want to so bad. Anyway, that was our little googly for the Wheel of Time TV show
on Prime Video.
On Prime Video. Come back for our reactions in August as they drop Origins episodes season 2.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. That's definitely happening.
It would be such a troll for them to drop them tomorrow. Just be like, oh, by the way, we canceled the show, but we have these. We don't know what to do with them. Just put them out. Honestly, I think it would cushion the blow a little bit of the show getting canceled. People
Maybe.
be like, you know what? At least they fucking gave us something.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Good luck with your letter writing campaigns in the next couple of years to try and save the show. I know it's coming. I will sign your petition, and I hope that it works. Yeah. If you want to follow us on the internet, you can. I'm at Nerdy Nightly.
I'm at Claris Polaris.
Like, subscribe, do all those dang things. Clarus for the Wheel of Time TV show, final time, and it's not a series finale, which is sad. Who is the algorithm goddess of the Wheel of Time on Prime Video? There is a right answer, and I will be upset if you don't get it right.
Rosamund Pike?
No. It's Lanfear.
Yeah, okay. I can fuck with that.
What a performance.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
yep.
We have a shirt with her legs on it. So
I don't know.
do something nerdy night, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.